Okay, everyone, we are going live in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's meeting of the Cabinet Committee Local Issues. I'm Councillor Graham Turner, Chair of this committee. Can we just ask members to introduce themselves?
Councillor Paul Davis.
Councillor Nahid Mather.
Thank you. And we're supported this morning by opposite. Would you like to introduce yourselves, please?
Karen North, Highway Safety.
Robert Hardcastle, Highway Safety.
Liz Twitchett, Operational Manager, Highways.
Phil Waddington, Group Engineer, Highway Safety.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a public meeting and we're live on the internet at the moment. So item 2, minutes of the previous meeting. Can we approve and move those meetings from the March 22 and June 22? Moved by Councillor Mather, seconded by Councillor Davis. Thank you very much. Declaration of interest. Has anybody got any interest that wish to declare any items on today's agenda? No. Admission of the public. They can come, but there's not many here at the moment. Item 5, deputations and petitions. We have no deputations or petitions? No. So we'll move on to item 6, public question time. No members of the public, so we can't do that. No elected members here, so item 7 moves on. So item 8, objection to traffic regulation order number 42022. To consider one objection received in relation to traffic regulation order number 4 2022, proposed permit parking Oddfellow Street, Beach Street, Shaw Street, Beach Grove, the Embankment, Murfield, and no waiting at any time, Dr. Lane, Murfield. Okay, would anybody like to move this, speak on this?
Morning. We've initially got a request from local ward councillors for permit parking on Oddfellow Street and the surrounding roads, and it met the criteria, so we proposed the restrictions on those streets and sent it out for consultation. We didn't get any objections, residents were very supportive, and we progressed the scheme to advert. We advertised the scheme from the 7th of April to the 5th of May 2022 and received one objection. The objector is concerned that the displaced parking will take place on Knoll Road, affecting residents at that location. In response, although we can't accurately predict where vehicles are going to park if the scheme is successful, I think it's more likely that it will take place on the A644 at the bottom of the road, simply because the parking is associated with the doctor's surgery and the care home, which are further down near the junction of that road, or in the car park of the health centre and the care home, where spaces have always been seen available. I also know that drivers do park on Knoll Road, but they are generally associated with the plain area on the opposite side of the road to those houses. So what I will say is, if the scheme's successful, all new schemes that are introduced are monitored, and we would look at the effect this had, and if it was seen to, the displaced parking was seen to affect the properties at the top of the road, we would revisit the initial scheme and may redesign it. We've introduced some additional yellow lines on Dr. Lane on one side of the road, just to help with visibility for accessors out of the road, out of the junctions of the side road, and to maintain access up and down the road, although there is still some on-street parking available. Taking this information into consideration, the officer recommendation is that the objection is overruled and the proposals are implemented as advertised.
Thank you. Councillor Mather.
I have been briefed and I am satisfied by the reasons offered. and the guidance and ongoing monitoring review, and I am minded to agree that we accept the scheme as proposed.
Councillor Davies?
Yep, certainly from what I've read and the officer's briefing and obviously additional comments from Councillor Mather, I have no issue with this scheme and would support the officer's recommendation as well.
Okay, so again, having read the item and listened to the officer's comments today, I would be supportive of this. 60% of the residents support it, all the ward councillors support it. So I would propose sorry, do you propose it, Councillor Mather? You second it? Okay, so all in favour? Okay, so we overrule the one objection and we progress with this scheme.
Thank you.
So we move on to item 9. So this is objections to the proposed zebra crossing Knoll Road, Mirfield. This is to consider the objections received in the proposed zebra crossing on Knoll Road in Mirfield. Have we got an officer who wishes to speak to this?
Hello. So I'll give a bit of a background onto the location and then I'll move on to the objectors' comments. So Knoll Road is a residential and commuter route. It leads into Mirfield, and the area in which we're sort of discussing today is next to the A644 Huddersfield Road junction. We're approached by councillors to conduct an assessment on the area against the council's assessment criteria for crossings. It reached the minimum threshold, which meant that we had to look at implementing some sort of crossing feature or facility in the area. On this side, conducted a study, looked at the location, looked at all different types of crossing facilities that could be implemented in the area, and the only sort of active and reasonable crossing that could be put in is a zebra. We have looked at other options such as crossing patrols and things, and these come into the assessment criteria, but unfortunately that's not a feasible option. Due to the constraints of the area, such as off-road accesses to private premises and properties, the only location that it can really go into, as well as taking into account visibility distances and things like that, is in the location proposed on the plan. This is outside a row of shops. To install this crossing here, we need to remove a permit bay and relocate a bus stop. I approached the residents and properties and business owners and businesses around that area that could be affected by the removal of the parking bay, the relocation of the bus stop and the installation of a zebra if agreed in October 2021. I got 3 responses. I managed to lay the concerns of one resident. Unfortunately, I couldn't compromise on the issues and concerns by the other 2 objectors. So I informed them that it would be legally advertised in December 2021, after 2021, sorry. It was advertised from January 27th to February the 24th, 2022, and received 2 objections, well, 2 objectors with various concerns and issues. I'll just go through them now. So objector number 1 raised various issues and concerns with the plan, with the proposed scheme. A couple of them link. So he had issues that the funds that were going to be used for this zebra should be used on drainage in the area of the location without the zebra. And if the zebra is to be installed there, it's going to be on a raised surface, and this can cause flooding to the local area and local businesses. The response to that was that our drainage team have their own funds, their own budgets, and if the drainage is an issue in that location and he felt that it was an existing issue, that he should contact their team and they will act and respond appropriately. During this scheme, there's no change in levels other than a drop curb to allow pedestrians to access the crossing, so there's no real change in any levels. The surface runoff and existing drainage will be adequate and perfectly fine as is. They also mentioned that the the crossing is too close to the junction of Town Hall Street. BFT specification allows for it to be with up to 5 metres to a junction. This crossing is 10 metres and more from this junction, so we're perfectly within specification for that. They also mentioned that the objector mentioned that businesses own a large proportion of the footway in front of their premises, making the footpath too narrow without using their property. On being told this information, I contacted our registry team, and they informed me that Kirklees records show that Kirklees have authority from shop frontage to shop frontage, so back of footway to back of footway, and that unless they can provide evidence to the contrary, we're to take our records as being correct. I haven't received any evidence or any information proving otherwise, so I'm taking our records as being correct. They also mentioned that the removal of the parking bay will have an adverse effect on their business. The bay is to be removed to allow safe passage of pedestrians for the crossing. It's to improve safety for the area and the community. And although that the removal of the parking bay isn't ideal, there is parking available on Town Hall Street and within Murfield and further on Knoll Road. They also mentioned that moving the bus stop close to the bend, so on the plan to the north of the crossing, they mentioned that they would force vehicles onto the wrong side of the carriageway into oncoming traffic. The bus stop, the bus flag isn't a stop, so the only time buses will be stopping there is to pick up and drop off passengers, and that is it. They won't be stopping there for any length of time other than what's necessary. And this scheme, through its whole process from concept to feasibility, and if it goes ahead after construction, has various safety audits. This has already had a safety audit 1, and this wasn't highlighted. As well as this, when I've consulted with the statutory consultees, Wicker have agreed with the relocation of the bus stop and haven't found an issue with the location that's proposed in the plan. So I'm accepting that the safety auditor hasn't highlighted this as an issue, and I'm happy that it's safe. They also mentioned that they're not aware of any traffic collisions here within 20 years, so that why is this scheme being funded and going ahead? This scheme is a community project scheme, so it's not targeting collisions. It's not a casualty reduction scheme. It's brought to us through councillors, through residents and community requests, and it is assessed on that and funded through different ways, so it doesn't have to meet the same criteria as a casualty reduction scheme would need to. So that is their objections and our response. The second objector mentioned, I'll just read out his paragraph and then I can attempt to answer them. Said that the installation of the crossing here will remove the possibility of collections and deliveries to and from their premises, including their weekly refuse collection, affecting their livelihood and could ultimately result in them having to find alternate premises. They believe they should be entitled to compensation if the proposals go ahead, and the need for the crossing should be located higher up near number 7 Knoll Road. They're also not aware of any traffic accident taking place in this vicinity here in the last 21 years to justify the installation of the zebra. The zigzags the zigzags of the zebra crossing, in the controlled area is a 24-hour no stopping. However, the double yellows allow loading and unloading, which is approximately 12 metres from their premises. So if there is any need for loading and unloading, they could unload there. And there's also the bay around the corner on Town Hall Street and further into Murfield. The refuse collection shouldn't be an issue either, as they are allowed to load and unload on the double yellows as well. However, like I said, they aren't allowed to stop in the zigzags. In regards to them mentioning compensation for this scheme going ahead, I've spoken with Kirklees Council and tried to get information on this, and they've informed me that they don't offer compensation for loss of business under these circumstances, and it wouldn't be me that he'd need to speak to. He'd need to get independent legal advice and contact our legal team. As well, locating it outside number 7 or further up Mill Road isn't feasible due to the private accesses. You know, there's just too much. There's too many off-road accesses and private premises that won't allow for me to place a zebra across their accesses. This is the only feasible location in this section, especially when you take into consideration desire lines of pedestrians and visibility distances that need to be kept to. As well, no traffic accidents in 21 years. Again, this is a community project. It doesn't need to be the result of accidents, collisions, personal injuries, and it doesn't have to reduce them. It's a community project which has been highlighted to us by ward councillors. I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you very much for that very detailed report on that, so thank you very much for that. There's just, excuse me, and I have an email of support here from Councillor Martin Bolt, which I'll read out. So it says, "Hi, I am unable to attend Cabinet this morning due to an appointment. I submit in support of the zebra crossing on Knoll Road. This email from the Chair of Governors of Kirklees School on behalf of the school. I don't know if they were directly consulted, but as in the email, it will be of direct and great benefit to their pupils now and in the future." So the email refers to is from the Chair of Governors at Kirklees CB Primary School. So, "Dear Martin, I think the school views any Kirklees Council interventions that promote safe or active travel to and from Kirklees School as very positive. Investing in all infrastructure that A, slows road traffic, and B, helps pedestrians, especially children, navigate their way on foot across Murfield is extremely worthwhile. A zebra crossing at this point on Knoll Road will support the school's walking bus scheme and encourage parents to park in central parking areas. This can only help alleviate the terrible parking congestion at school dropping off and picking up times around Springfield Park, Parker Lane and Crowley's Road. We suggest strongly that this is a part of a wider council scheme to promote active travel across the town, including joining up and enforcing of cycleways, further no parking zones and zebra crossings on Crowley's Road and Parker Lane 2. Regular patrols of parking officers to enforce no engine idling whilst waiting at a non-pavement parking would also be very beneficial. Also establishing a tarmac and path to replace the overground muddy path that runs along the far side of the memorial showground from Huddersfield Road to Crowley School Gate would also be very helpful to parents wishing to walk to school. Thank you." And that's from the Chair of Governors. So we got support from the ward members and the Chair of the local school. Councillor Mather?
Thank you, Councillor Turner. I was about to make those very points that we are promoting active travel. We do want our councillors and communities at the heart of our schemes, and I, for one, would support it. I am, however, mindful that at all times in congested areas it's difficult to meet everyone's needs. In this case, the two objectors, I think we have dealt with the majority of their concerns. Sometimes it means that, you can't, park right in front of your business, but a bit further along. I do think these schemes are useful for us as we talk, moving towards promoting active travel, alleviating and improving, alleviating congestion, improving air quality, and ensuring that our young people and all those walking feel safe. I'm also confident that, like other schemes, new schemes, our officers will be reviewing the scheme and how it pans out. So I would be minded to ask my colleagues this morning to promote, to accept the scheme as presented. Thank you.
Councillor Davis?
I won't repeat all the points that have been made. I'm just very much supportive of them. For me, the core of this is around pedestrian safety and active travel. And, yep, absolutely would support this scheme going forward.
Thank you. And as Councillor Mather said, I think we've addressed the issues raised in the objections, and the greater good for the children and the residents of Murfield must be taken into account. So, Councillor Mather, you moving that? Councillor Davis, second it. Both of you in favour? Thank you very much. That item is passed and the objection is overruled. Right. That, I think, is the end of today's meeting. So thank you very much for attending, officers and elected members and corporate government staff here. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again, no doubt, in a few weeks.